Good evening, welcome to the latest live edition of Last Bell Boxing. Joined by regulars. I will do a quick round robin because it's Sunday and I'm in a good mood. So starting with Sean. How you going, Sean?
Evening, guys.
Good afternoon, I'd imagine where you are, Brett, with the sunshine in the background, taking the piss, but we know we'll accept it. Good afternoon, Brett.
Yeah, hello, boys. How you doing?
I can. I don't know what the weather's like in Scandinavia, but I'm sure it's better than the UK. Good evening.
Good evening. The winter is coming.
Guys, you're not too far down away from me, so I'm guessing you're looking at the weather I am out the window, which is
miserable, mate.
And then you got Daz, who's in tropical West Midlands. So what's it? Quick weather report, Daz. What's the weather saying?
Tropical storms, mate.
And obviously, I saw that you was impressed with the London traffic system yesterday.
Yeah, over the moon with it. Lovely on time.
You can tell by your tweets.
Yeah.
So let's jump straight into it, guys. So obviously, we had Wembley edition card last night. We're going to get onto AJ, but let's start with the first fight, which was Chamberlain. So I'll come to you, Sean, because you're first on my screen. Give us your breakdown. I saw the WhatsApp group that was they keep buzzing off all night. Give us your thoughts on the Chamberlain fight.
Yeah, it was quite a disappointing performance from Chamberlain, I felt. He was just getting outboxed, and given that he was the bigger guy, he didn't really use his advantages, I didn't think. And ultimately, he got well beaten in the end, and I'm glad that the scorecards went with the correct victor, because I didn't want him to get robbed, because that'd be unfair on Padley.
So where do you think that leaves Chamberlain? Because he's a bit of a favourite of Turk Al-Sheikh. He's done really well out the Riyadh season cards, hasn't he? Come from obscurity, if I'm honest. So rematch, you reckon?
Yeah, potentially. I guess it's up to Padley now. The ball's in his court, really. I mean, that's the biggest win of his career, it goes without saying. And let's hope he gets his flowers now, and hopefully a promoter gives him a chance, and let's see what he can do himself.
Very good. Brett, coming to you, give us your thoughts on Chamberlain. Did he take it for granted a little bit? Did you think it was an easy fight?
Yeah, the best way I can describe it is, obviously I know that Daz had had some thoughts on Padley and said it wouldn't be an easy night for Chamberlain, but I didn't know anything of him. I'll be brutally honest. I had no background on him, so I was expecting an easy night in the park for Chamberlain, and obviously to go on for bigger things because of obviously being one of Turkey's favourites. I just thought, but he just didn't know how to figure him out. He got inside on him. He made it awkward for him, and in the end, well beaten in my opinion, and good on him, because he's obviously changed his life for the better.
Yeah, you could argue, couldn't you, Brett, that Padley's done what Chamberlain's done, where he's come from nowhere and he could earn a few quid now, right? Good, like you say, good on him.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're in this sport. We were going to get onto the main ones where they've earned millions and millions, but that is that underdog story of that you get that one moment in your life to change your life, and he's done it. And for me, that kind of was one of my highlights of the night, where you've got this kid that he believed in himself. When you watched all the press conferences, he was saying, you don't know what's coming. You're overlooking me. You're underestimating me. And he went out and did the job. So kudos to him. Obviously, I'll be taking more of an interest in the kid now, and hopefully he pushes on and makes even more money.
Thank you. Akan, same questions to you.
I couldn't watch this fight and the next one, so I haven't watched the fight. I joined the pay-per-view for the third fight.
Okay, they need to sort
but I'm really glad for the Josh Padley and the team. I'm close to Steffi Bull's teams in Doncaster, so I'm really glad for the team for that they won the fight, and another surprise win for the team.
I'm starting to think you're on commission with Steffi, but I think you're in a few quid every time you drop his name in. But we'll move on. Thank you very much, Akan. Coming on to Daz Metcalf. Good evening. What were your thoughts, Daz?
Mate, honestly, I picked Chamberlain to win because of what he'd produced. You know, the the guys he'd stopped early on. He stopped Jeff Afori early on, people like that. But like I said, I knew if Josh turned up like I've seen what he's capable of, in sparring and everything, then it wouldn't be an easy night. Chamberlain would know he'd been in a fight. Josh not only produced what I know he could, he went above that. And to be honest, when Chamberlain started trading with him in that 8th and he got caught, I wasn't surprised to see him on his backside. The guy can hit. Don't forget his height, his weight division as well.
Yeah. And you can
Josh
see that.
Josh is a super featherweight. Yeah. Josh is a super feather. Super feather. With that sort of patience, and because he used to be a bit gung-ho, he'll start stopping people. Josh will do some stuff, I think. He, for me, Chamberlain just basically thought he'd have to hit him and that'd be it, he'll fall over. He was crowding himself. He showed a lack of discipline that you can't have at, an higher level. He was getting frustrated. To cost himself a point when a fight was that close was just suicide. And he knew it was coming. So, but to be honest, I hope Josh gets opportunities, because listen, we know what these big promoters are like when people go and turn over their boys, don't they? And their girls, they get ignored. Let's hope that it doesn't happen to Josh. Let's hope he gets some opportunities at the right weight as well.
You can draw parallels with Mark Chamberlain though, because he came from nowhere and all of a sudden got a good promotional push. So you'd like to think Josh will get a decent one, right? At least a rematch.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, mate, I think Mark Chamberlain, he came from a bit of obscurity. But if you look down his record, he stopped some kids that don't really get stopped. He stopped Jeff Afori, so there was a bit of form there, such as Josh. Josh had not really fought anyone as good as Jeff Afori, to be fair.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was going on what I'd seen him produce in gym, so I knew it'd be a tough night at least if he produced that. So
okay, cheers, Daz. Darren, Mr. Ashton, coming to you. Give us your thoughts. Was you nearby then, or were you still
I was just going to say the London traffic put paid to me viewing this one, but I've saw a few clips of it. I've saw the knockdown. I'm chuffed for Josh Padley. To win on points, he was an 18-1 underdog to win that fight on points, which is amazing to have the chance he's had and then open the card and win on points like that. I'm chuffed for the kid, and like Daz said, I hope he goes on to do bigger and better things now. I suspect they will probably go for a rematch or something, because Turkey likes Chamberlain. I think he'll want him to try and get the win back, but let's see. I'm really pleased for Josh Padley. Great for him.
Okay. Move on to the next fight. Hamza Shiraz, class. I think he's going right to the top of the sport, if I'm honest. At more than one weight as well. Right, I'll come to you first on this one. This match, or is that a bit unfair?
The size was massive on it. Just looking at the two of them in the ring when they sized up to each other. But how good's he going to be? Because for me, he looks like he's got everything, doesn't he? He's poised when he's in the ring. He doesn't panic. He sizes them up. He lets his jab go, lets his backhand go. He's something special. I'm excited to see where he's going to go. But in terms of it, a mismatch, I think anybody at domestic level now would be considered a mismatch for him. I think he needs to start stepping up the levels a little bit, and to see where he could be and how good he could be. But in terms of where he's going in the sport, like you just said, I think he's going to the very top.
Thank you very much. Orkan, same questions to you.
Yeah, I had Shiraz to win on stoppage, but I thought that then it could hold on to a little bit longer than it happened. But Shiraz looked so huge for the weight, and so I think Shiraz he will be a world champion very soon.
Daz, coming to you.
Pretty much went how I thought, just a little bit quicker. Thought it might have been around 6 or 7, I think I said, or 7 or 8. Just went a bit quicker. But Shiraz is very impressive. Like I say, I've seen the kid from when he turned pro, and I've been impressed with him from then. His punches are just effortless, but they obviously carry a lot of power. Very, very nice and relaxed. Didn't make a much to the rapper though, but you know, we'll let him off for that performance. I think my missus rapped a bit better than that, to be fair.
I can vouch for your missus, Daz. She
yeah, mate. Video evidence, pal. Video evidence, mate. Yeah, Shiraz is a top operator. I mean, I don't really think anyone in England would be wanting to put their boy in with him.
No.
I heard a little bit of something earlier about maybe they'd try and push for Shaquille Thompson v Hamza Shiraz if he beats River Wilson Bent. I mean, listen, I rate Shaquille, very good fighter, but this kid Shiraz is next level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He deals with everybody in Britain and pretty much Europe as well. Yeah, the world beckons for Hamza.
Bit of a premature stoppage, though, Dad, or did you like the stoppage?
You know what, mate? Initial thought were that may have been a bit quick, but the ref sees what's in his eyes, doesn't he? He's closer, and I think it just delayed the inevitable, mate. I think Tyler would have just been flattened. You know, there's no way we're going to win. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So, yeah, I can't really argue with that, to be fair.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Ashton, same question to you.
Yeah, well, obviously Tyler Denny got dropped early. Only a bit of a glancing blow. He went down, got up pretty sharpish. I actually thought in a short span, he started to get his boxing going a little bit, Tyler Denny. I thought, he
Come on.
No, I think he was.
I've got to pull you.
No, I'm not saying he was.
Hold on. I think there's some West Midlands bias going off here.
No, I'm not saying he was winning the fight or anything. I mean, it was a short fight anyway. But I actually thought he got up and he was getting going a little bit, and I thought Shiraz was, he was being competitive, and then he got dropped again, and then I thought the fault of Tyler was, even though he was hurt, I think he stayed down too long. I think it was a premature stoppage, but I do agree with Daz. He would have got stopped anyway. But it was a bit of a premature stoppage. But I thought Tyler Denny should have got up quicker than I think he could have got up quicker than he was, because I think he was disappointed with himself after. Because when you looked on the screen, you actually saw him go up to Shiraz and say, I'm gutted. Because I think he realised what he'd done. But I don't really like to say this, but I was a little bit disappointed with Tyler Denny. I thought he could have gave a few more rounds than that, but full credit to Hamza Shiraz. He looks the real deal, and there's going to be some interesting road ahead for him.
Couple of things then, Mr. Ashton. One, I saw from his seat, he's a little distance away from the ring, so I'll let that one slide.
Lower to you, mate. Lower to you.
And two, I've been to church this morning, so I'm in a good mood, so I won't pick apart them comments anymore. Moving on to Sean. Sean, same question to you, young man.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I mean, it's nothing that I didn't expect, but I think with Hamza, the first fight I really saw from him was when he fought Bradley Skeet, and that's controversial for a lot of people how that went. But since then, I mean, he's come on leaps and bounds. He really has. I've been really impressed with Hamza. It'll be interesting to see if they put my mate Eubank in with him, because I think he deals with Eubank how Liam Smith beat him in the first fight, if I'm being honest. So it'll be interesting to see how they go and how they push him forward now.
Well, he's called 3 people out, and he wants either Eubank Jr., Kell Brook, or Conor Benn.
Yeah, I mean they're all big money fights, aren't they? But only one's really a middleweight, if we're being honest, out of those 3. So for that sake, you would have to say Eubank Jr. out of the 3 listed there.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on. Josh Keller, obviously came. I don't know what to make of this fight because scorecard suggests it was close, but I'm not sure myself. So I'm coming to Orkan first. Orkan, give us your thoughts on the Josh Kelly fight, and where do you think Josh Kelly goes next?
I couldn't watch this fight. I was at home for it, but I have watched some clips from the fight, and
okay, that's
fine. So Ishmael Davis did well, I think, but I didn't watch it, so I can't say too much about it. But what's Josh Kelly next? I haven't thought so much about it.
Okay. Well, what I'll do, I'll move on then, and I'll come to you last, and you can maybe give us your update. Is that okay? Or you think you might jump in with? So I'll come to Daz next. So Daz, give us your thoughts on Josh Keller. Does he belong in that way?
Mate, I'll be honest, I thought Ishmael Davis were poor. I were very, very, very.
Good game, right?
You what, pal?
He talked a good game, didn't he?
Mate, exactly. Mate, listen, he talked a good game and he produced absolutely nothing until the last round. And then, I mean, honestly, mate, I heard Sonny Edwards in the corner say, close fight, and I thought, yeah, he's definitely been sniffing adrenaline in corner. And then when they announced the scorecards, mate, what were they watching? Josh Kelly won 10 rounds. You know, at worst it were 9-3, and that's me being biased or being generous. Never in a million years will that, you know, a draw. Would you get a draw in?
Yeah. I've got the scores here, Dad. 115, 113, 115, 114. The last judge had it 114, 114.
Mate, I mean, listen, let's drug test them judges. That is absolutely unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? It's like, listen, I'm not saying Josh Kelly was absolutely amazing because I don't think he was, right? But Ishmael Davis offered nothing. He just basically was like, you know, I think around 10th round, I think I said Kelly's had all the bag workouts. You know, he offered nothing. He promised everything and offered nothing.
Yeah.
And, you know, he looked very one-dimensional. He looked like he was devoid of ideas. All I can say is Junaid Boston's licking his lips.
Yeah, I mean, there's all the talk in the presser about Troy Williams and one that the opponent they both had in common and all this, and you know, Ishmael Davis was going to leave it all in the ring, and he just didn't materialize.
Yeah, mate, he's not. You know, he's not done anything there, to be fair. And I mean, you know, such as the promoters, you know, that sort of performance after what he'd promised, it made me think, can he deliver on that stage? You know, I mean, why not? When he produced that in the 12th round, I'm like, should have done that from start.
Yeah.
Should have done that from start. And then, you know, I think it was you, Sean, where he commented on group, said he might not be, you know, he might not trust his fitness.
Yeah.
Or something. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, go and have a go. Or at least, you know, settle in over 3 or 4 rounds, then have a go. You know, and try and get Kelly on because he were making, you know, Kelly were, you know, circling ring, but to just start in 12th is ridiculous. It's just crazy. Very disappointed in him, to be fair. And I was looking, you know, I was looking looking forward to him, to be fair. But I thought
it was his cup final, Daz, wasn't it? It was his cup final.
Well, I thought, you know, he'd been tipped for good things, and I thought, you know, he'd talked a good game, and had really nothing to lose, did he?
No.
But yeah, very disappointed in him. Very.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ashton. Coming to you. What were your thoughts? Got
to echo probably a little bit of what Daz said as well. I I mean, I know it was short notice, but I was a bit disappointed with Ishmael Davis. Like you say, it was his sort of like he's on the big stage of his cup final. Really, I don't get why he started having a go late. It's a bit of a baffling one to me. I mean, good win for Josh Kelly. We all thought it'd be a more of a difficult fight than Liam Smith. Judging on that, I don't think it was. But I think the only fault I can say with Josh Kelly is sometimes a little bit in his fights. I mean, he's a super smooth boxer, but his movement's good. He's very slick, but sometimes I think he can get a little bit too comfortable in his fights and, you know, would like to go on the back foot and that, just pop the jab. Like, I just think he gets a little bit too comfortable for my liking at times.
That's one criticism labelled at him, is that he hasn't got the pop at that weight class. Well, he hasn't got the pop at the lower weight class, but concern over his power?
Possibly, but I don't think he's the type of fighter that likes to engage too much anyway. I don't think it's in his arsenal type of thing. I think he's more of a likes to box and move, keep out of range all the time.
And that's fine. You need enough as you go up the level, don't you, to keep somebody off?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, is he going to be able to keep getting away with that style as he goes up when he's got someone rough and ready in front of him to rough him up? That's the problem he's probably going to have as he goes forward. And I think sometimes like he needs a bit of a test now, and possibly if they may go someone like Liam Smith next when he's not injured or whatever, and think, you know, that was going to be the fight originally. Maybe they'll go for something like that. I don't know, but he needs a bit more of a solid test before he moves up a little bit more, I'd say.
Yeah. Sean, coming to you, same question, young man.
Yeah, I agree with what the both guys have said, to be honest. And I think with Josh Kelly, it's a difficult one because, as we saw in the last round, when someone does really put it on him, he does start to unravel quite quickly. And it was interesting to see that Davison had done that on the 12th. Even if it was the 7th or 8th he done that, he would have had much more of an opportunity to win the fight. And I think with Josh Kelly, it's a hard one for him at middleweight. I sort of made a comment yesterday. I said, as physically good as he looks, he kind of looks a bit blown up for me, at least anyway. So I think probably light middle's the ideal weight for him, and see where he goes from there.
Okay, thank you very much. And last but not least, Brett, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it, where you're disappointed in Davis because he didn't take his moment with both hands. Because when he did that as everyone said, when he did that in the last round, that's the way you've got to fight somebody like Taylor. I mean, what it reminded me of is when you go in the gym and you've got a boxer that's been doing it for years, and then a novice that comes in where the hands down by the sides and they're popping them and they're smiling and they're just teeing them up and they're moving around. Daz, you'd have seen it time and time again, but like it was just an easy night's work. And he has flashes of brilliance, Kelly, where he puts 3 or 4 shots together, sees a shot come in, rolls it, slips it, turns the corner, and then hits him a few more times. But he never really steps on the gas, does he? He doesn't look to back you up. He looks to look pretty, as his nickname. He looks to look pretty, turn the corner, look pretty again, and then go for a walk, and then engage again, and then go for a walk again. And, you know, that's his style. But I would, watching him last night, because he got himself in some great shape. He obviously took it very, very serious, the training camp. Would have been a cracking fight to see where he stood up against Smith, against Beefy. Watching him last night and then thinking about what that fight, because Liam wouldn't have let him do that to him. He'd have backed him up. He'd have walked him down, and it would have been a different fight. But, you know, job done. It was an easy night's work for him in the end. And like Dad said, what are those judges doing? What is going on there? And I kept trying to question myself. Am I being biased? Like, why have I got it so wrong? But I was the same. I had it 9-3 at best.
Yeah. Like I say, we would have had a proper measuring stick, yardstick, wouldn't we, if he was in with Smith? Would have known where he belongs in that
he is at this time, yeah.
I think on that performance last night, if he fights Liam Smith in future, and Liam Smith's got 60 or 70% of what he was, I think Liam's too much for him on that last night.
I do. Okay, moving on. So, Josh Warrington losers. I'm going to come to Daz Medcor first on this. Warrington's been around a long time now, Daz. Kikache, I don't know what it is about Kikache, but something's missing for me. I can't get behind him. I don't know why it is. But give us your thoughts on the fight.
Listen, I think Josh did better than I thought he would. To be fair, he had his successes. He did all right. Never looked in trouble. Kakashi didn't look unreal. But yeah, I mean, I know Josh is sort of retired now after that. And I was a bit surprised at that because, I know he's been around a long time and he's won, I think, 1 in 6 or 7. He showed he's got a little bit left last night, I thought. But then I thought to myself, but is that because Kakashi were poor? Kakashi were not poor. That's probably a bit extreme, but I thought, well, Kakashi wasn't. He didn't seem like the Kakashi that fought Cordina.
Money in the bank, no, Daz? Is that what Warrington think? They've got enough money in the bank, no motivation.
Well, to be fair, mate, I think Warrington looked motivated in the fight, but then afterwards probably maybe thought, you know what, it might be time to go. But I think he did all right in the fight, to be fair. I don't think he were ever in trouble. You know what it seemed like to me? It seemed like a sparring session.
It might not just. He might just not have it anymore.
Yeah, listen. If he struggled to get out of bed and go running with motivation, then his decision's the right one. But that looked like a sparring session to me yesterday. I mean, they were touching gloves after the round, talking to each other, smiling at each other. It just looked like a sparring session. So I was a bit underwhelmed with it, to be fair. But I took Josh did all right. Josh did better than I thought. But yeah, we're a bit underwhelmed with it, to be honest.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Ashton, coming to you. Give us your thoughts.
Well, I actually said to you last week, I thought Warrington could win this fight, and I think he did okay. I don't think it was sort of like the fight I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be a bit more exciting than what it was. Saying about Kakashi, for me, he's not as, like some people are saying about him being like the puncher and that. I don't think he's as powerful as what some people think with the way he fights as well. I don't think he's. If you look at some of his previous fights, he's gone the distance quite a few times. I think Warrington, he's near the end, and it's suggested the way he put his gloves in the ring, maybe he's going to wrap it up. But I thought he did okay, and I actually thought the scorecards were quite wide as well. I thought it was closer than what the judges had it. Yeah, there weren't no real case of Warrington winning, but he definitely was closer than what they had it.
Yeah, so Dad, you had it 117, 111, 118, 110, and 117, 111 again.
Yeah, that weren't for me. It was closer than that. Like I said, no case for Warrington winning. I thought he did okay. And like Dad said, he probably has got a little bit left, but will he be sort of will he be able to still get the fights that he wants to get? Probably, but the thing is he going to become sort of like a bit of a gatekeeper? I don't know if he's going to want to do that, really.
Better than that, right?
But Kakashi going forward, let's see. I don't think he's going to be able to cut it at the real top sort of thing, like Nunes or anyone like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers. Sean, coming to you.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent fight for what it was. Again, I thought the scoring was a bit wide. I had it more sort of 116, 112 myself. But I thought Kakashi done okay. It's hard to see where he goes, really, because they're not going to sling him in the deep end of the division, as Darren's just said, because he'll come out unstuck. There isn't really many fighters that they can put him in with to sort of warrant a big crowd in this country, I don't think, because he's not quite the draw. So it's hard to see where they go with him. I know he's got his mandatory next, so maybe that will land up on a Saudi car next year. But overall, it was a good fight, and Josh Warrington's had a good career, and best of luck to him.
Okay, thank you very much. Brett, over to you, fella.
Yeah, I said something in our chat that after round one, I was like, Josh is in trouble here. just because Kakachi started out and you could hear the thudding shots landing, and then it just kind of drifted away into Josh got inside and landed the quick body shots, and tried to get himself going. But it was, for me, it was an easy night's work for Kakachi. Josh, if he has retired, what a servant he's been. I mean, could he, if it had been at Ellen Road, 40,000 people, could he have turned back the clock? Because I think in his mind, he wanted to be great last night. He wanted to have one more go. He wanted to have that final night. But with an empty Wembley, he just didn't seem to, nothing lit. But, he had a go at times, but just not what he once was. And Kakachi, for me, he's got the tools, but he just did it with ease last night. It wasn't a hard night's work for him.
Okay, cheers, Brett. Orkan, coming to you.
I think Josh Warrington did okay, but I had the fight closer than the judges. I didn't think that Kakachi won it by 4 or 5 rounds. So maybe by 2-3 rounds. If Josh Warrington is to retire, we have to thank Josh for all the great fights he has been in. And for Kakachi, I've heard that Kakachi maybe vacate the title and move to lightweight to get bigger fights at lightweight. He said in an interview with BBC Northern Ireland after the fight. So we have to wait and see if he move up to lightweight.
Yep, thank you, Orkan. Okay, moving on to what I think was the most intriguing fight before the bell. So Joshua Buatsi versus Willie Hutchinson. So I'm going to come to Mr. Ashton first on this one. Was Buatsi always going to be too good for Willie Hutchinson, Daz?
Well, I thought this was probably one of the best fights on the card, really. It was the... Yeah, I mean, one thing, if we keep talking about the scorecards, this one for me, again, like, Buatsi won this pretty comfortably with the knockdowns.
How did that one judge give it Hutchinson, Daz?
I don't. When I was in the stadium and I heard that, I actually said to the guy next to me, I went, "Have I just heard that right?" And he went, "We was all going." The whole crowd gasped because it was like, I mean, there was 2 knockdowns and a point deduction, and he gives it that scorecard. It's just unbelievable. I thought Hutchinson at times looked a bit desperate. Buatsi was the cleaner boxer, but again, a little bit Buatsi, a little bit Josh Kelly-ish. He doesn't quite want to put his foot on the gas too much, even though he had the knockdowns and he probably showed a little bit more. I thought that fight, the way it was going, possibly he could have made a statement in that. But, with 2 rounds to go, you could tell he was happy to let it run out to a points victory. He thought he was comfortable. Nearly come unstuck with that with the one judge anyway. But it was an okay performance by Buatsi, but I think he needs to start showing a little bit more as he goes through with his career.
I agree. Sean, coming to you next. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree on Darren's summary, to be honest. I have no idea what they're seeing to give the fight to Hutchinson and won the cards. I thought Buatsi won easily by 7 rounds, even more possibly. But at the same time, I thought his performance was a bit underwhelming, if that kind of makes sense too, because all the hype around him, he doesn't really justify it for me yet. I mean, when he was with Matchroom, there was all talk about he's going to be the sort of star of British boxing, this and that. But for me, he's sort of flattered to deceive really a lot, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Bivol and Batavev, where his future lies with all them as well.
Yeah. Right, coming to you, give us your thoughts, young man.
Just to jump on that, I think Bivol or Batavev will have their bib on and their knife and fork ready for that one, because That's a bit of slaughter. That after what I watched last night. Look, it's Buatsi, you want him to be good, don't you? You know, he's got good pedigree. You want him to ignite. He's the poster boy for Boxer. They put all their money into him. You know, you want him to be good, and he shows flashes. But I don't know how you lot feel. I thought Hutchinson was poor because he didn't look conditioned. Was he a little? Does anybody feel like he was a little bit podgy as well at the weight? Like he
looked desperate for me, Brett, mate. Every shot was like out of desperation. It looked.
I think he ran out of ideas, though, Daz. I think he ran out of ideas.
Mate, honestly, he looked. Willie's usually quite composed and calm. Yeah. He looked very desperate with his punches last night. I think I said that on the chat from probably early on.
I'll be honest, it was very pent up during fight week as well, which, you know, I like to see fighters a bit relaxed out there during fight week, but he was, you know.
It's whatever works for you, isn't it? It's whatever works for you. If getting riled up works for you, do it.
But it didn't for him, did it?
No, but it did look to me very desperate with his shots.
It felt to me like, you know, he's game, isn't he? Like he don't mind having it on the cobbles. You can tell that. Like he'll throw his hands if he needs to. But he was like you said, Daz, he was planting his feet and just throwing desperation shots, and still surprisingly still catching Buatsi on the side of the head and things like that. Yeah. But just didn't look conditioned. And again, as much as it had interesting moments in it and it ignited at times, I was expecting more from it, but. You know, again, easy night's work for Buatsi. Same as you, Darren. Like, once again, what's going on with these scorecards? I mean, maybe these judges would have, if they'd have looked at the scorecards for the Joshua fight, maybe they'd have had Joshua winning by 4 rounds with with the way that they were going, because ridiculous. But yeah, you know, well done, Buatsi. Let's see what goes next. I'd like to see, as we all would probably, I'd like to see him in Riyadh. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at that one.
There's a reason. I mean, maybe that's the reason why Yard's come away from Queensborough to make that happen, right?
Well, with Turkey, it don't matter where you are, does it? No, if Turkey likes to fight, he'll make it. But I don't want to see him in with Bivol or Beterbiev. That isn't for sure.
Okay, cheers, Brett. Orkan, coming to you.
I think Buatsi did okay. I was expecting much more from Hutchinson, and I had Buatsi winning the fight by 4 or 5 rounds at least. So I can't understand the judges' scorecard 113, 112 from Hutchinson. It was ridiculous. And going forward, I would like to see Buatsi Yard next if that fight could be could make next then.
Okay, thank you. Okay, coming on, Daz. I'm forgetting about you, Daz. Come on, Daz. Mr. Medcalf, over to you.
Very underwhelmed with Buatsi and very disappointed in Hutchinson, to be fair. Just, yeah, a bit. Buatsi, like Brett said, in flashes, he looks class. But then I don't know, he just looks lazy. I mean, listen, his defense yesterday were awful. I think I commented again on our group. I says, you know, his right hand, I mean, he was getting caught off Willie Hutchinson far too easy. It was just poor defense from him. But listen, he were hurting Willie to body as well. Every time he went down to body. It was just a bit underwhelming for me. Not overly impressed.
So from a coach's perspective, Daz, because it's undeniable all the tools are there from Buatsi, right? He's got all the tools to go right to the top. What would you put it down to? Motivation?
Mate, I don't think he has got tools to go right to the top.
No.
While you've got Bivol and Beterbiev there, he's always going to be fighting for third place. He's not beating any of them. You've got guys who are, I mean, I think the kid who is another Russian kid who's pro. He's quite gone under the radar. I think he fought. Did he fight one of them? One at light heavyweights as an amateur. He fought Ben Whittaker, I think, as an amateur. This Russian, I can't remember his name, but I think he's in light heavyweight division. I don't know, mate. You can't work in flashes. You've got to be constantly on it with your defense, with your offense, everything. And I just there's something lacking. I just think there's something lacking. I mean, could you imagine him eating them shots off Beterbiev?
No.
And even Bivol, mate, it had him in trouble. Listen, Anthony Hard, like Brett said earlier, with them, I think Anthony Hard will get to Bibart and knife and fork because he'll catch Boatse at will, I think. So yeah, bit disappointed in him.
Well, you better jump in with Yard before he even starts thinking about Beterbiev or Bivol.
Mate, I think at this point in time, if you ask me who's going to win, I think Anthony. Listen, Anthony has been out ring quite a bit, so could be a factor. But Boatse didn't show me anything yesterday that I could think. Yeah, I think Yard would need a tune-up. Yard's been training all the time, so I just, mate, honestly, I think Yard will beat him on that.
Yeah. Okay, coming on to the main event. So I was very underwhelmed by AJ's performance, but Sean, I'm going to come to you. So Sean, give us your thoughts on this, and also, is that it for AJ, do you think, or does he go on rebuild 2.0?
Yeah, well, first of all, I thought Dubois absolutely surprised us all pretty much. I think nearly everyone picked AJ to win the fight. I was just totally gobsmacked, to be honest. From when he was put down in the first round, that was almost the writing on the wall for the fight. He never recovered. Okay, he gave it a go in the fifth, but I don't know if something was off with him before the fight or what, but he just looked a shell of what he has been like the last two performances. As for will he retire, I don't think so. I think they've got a rematch clause, right? So they'll probably do that in Saudi next year. So I think we'll see this fight again. But if AJ does lose again, then it's hard to see where he goes. I mean, I don't think there's the appetite for the Fury fight if he was to lose to Dubois twice, is there? So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
What about if Fury gets beat to Usyk in December? Why not sack the Dubois fight off and just go for the AJ Fury, being in mind they're both coming off losses?
I guess it depends how Fury loses. I mean, if he loses in similar fashion to what AJ done yesterday, then sure. But if Fury looks good against Usyk this time and gives him a closer fight, is there really the appetite for what just happened to AJ for him v Fury still? I don't think there is currently.
Interesting. Brett, over to you next, fella. Give us your thoughts.
Sad night, mate, for me. Being a staunch AJ fan, I've had people text me that I hadn't spoke to in 5 years to give me some shit over it. But it is what it is. When you put your neck on the line for somebody, that's what you get. But I'll tell you this: completely and utterly dominated. And I was watching it with the missus, with the gaffer, and I said straight away when he hit him with those first few jabs, I just said straight away, something's not right here. Something's not right. And he flinched when he hit him with those first couple of jabs. Like he was flinching back. And then, for me, after being the man that he's been and the things that he's done for the sport, and he's probably the reason why, the Saudi money's around and things like that. He's put British boxing back on the map. It's time now. And it's time because what are we all going to do? Get all excited for the rebuild, for the rematch? I mean, that was a destruction job yesterday. As much as it hurts me to say, that was a complete and utter destruction job. And don't get me wrong. I jumped up when he caught him with that right hand, and I didn't expect that short, sharp hook to the jaw that just put him completely out. But I'll ask this question because I've been sitting with it last. Dad's obviously in the game, but like, have we built him up? Have we built AJ up? Did he have the tools to be an all-time great, or did we just get excited from this Adonis that won an Olympic medal that could knock some journeymen out along the way, and he had that amazing night with Klitschko? Have we built him up to be this megastar? Because Dubois made it look light work last night, light work. And I
think Brett, to that, mate, my opinion on that is, I think it's a proper good question. But I also think that we're all maybe a bit guilty like doing that with Fury sometimes.
Yeah.
Even listen, with Usyk, I think none of these guys deserve to be mentioned as an all-time great because the division is so poor.
Yeah.
You know, even if it might sound a bit harsh, but even if Usyk tans Fury again and then retires undefeated, I still don't think you can talk about the man in the same breath as Ali, Lewis, you know, all them. And Joe, I just think it's poor.
Was there a problem with punch resistance last night, Daz? Because every time Dubois landed on him, he looked like Bamber.
His leg went.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, mate. I mean, my missus upstairs at the minute. She'll tell you. I was sat there and everything was right about AJ. Everything. The walk to the ring, I even commented laughing, saying he's coming down to war from Rocky IV. Dubois fucked it. He's in trouble. You know what I mean? And everything when he was in the ring and he was just so focused, everything looked right. And I stood by what I said. I thought he was just going to demolish him in a couple of rounds. As soon as that bell went and he went on back foot, I went, this is not good.
Yeah.
This is not good. And I know Andy commented on it and said, no, I think the game plan we're trying to outbox him, trying to take the sting out of him. Right, if that's your game plan, fair enough. But you can't allow a man like Dubois to just walk into you and unload on you.
Yeah.
Because it's just suicide. You know, if you're going to do that, you've got to give that man something to worry about.
Yeah.
And Anthony never committed to any punches until the fifth.
But that's don't you think
he never recovered from that first shot to the top of the head in round one, did he?
Mate, it was recovered enough, right? In the fifth, they was the first punches he committed to, and he wobbled him. But then he went in with his hands down, and he had a warning.
Daz, even in the first 2 rounds when he threw the backhand, they didn't seem any sting behind it.
They were pulling back.
It was like one of those just like nearly shots.
I've watched it again today, and he threw a right hand. I think it was the second round. Threw a right hand, and he already before it had got to where it was going, he was already on his back foot. I mean, Ben Davison said I think it would end at first or second.
Commit.
He said you're not giving him anything to worry about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But why is the game plan for AJ to be outboxing someone? You know. I mean, it will. I thought, has he turned into Floyd Mayweather here or something? You know, it was like crazy tactics for me.
Yeah.
You know, he had to get his respect. And listen, as much as Dubois is a big hitter, so is AJ.
Yeah.
For, beat him, battle at jabs, beat him to jab. I must admit, though, Dubois' jab was unreal last night. Very, very good.
Well, they do say it's like a backhand, don't they? They talk about his jab a lot, don't they?
Yeah. Couple that with AJ not moving his head or having his hands up, it were, absolute suicide. I don't like as well, and he seems to do it a lot since Rui's loss. He always, he looked out the ring last night and we're talking to someone.
Yeah.
And I think it ended at fourth. He ushered Dubois to his seat.
Sticking his tongue out all the time.
I think he's mentally fragile, mate, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I think that's a sign of a bit of mental fragility. And what does he do now?
Well, on that, I'll just finish on this call. Like, the only fight that I think that will make sense for him to carry on, I personally don't want it, as much as a fan of him, I don't want to see him carry on, is Wilder's shot now. He looks like he's shot. That's probably the money fight that he can still earn big money. Because forget the Dubois rematch. There's talk on the internet today that Eddie said he's exercised it already. But I think when Turkey's going to look at it, Turkey's going to look at cashing out on Joshua. And the cash out would be the Wilder fight. But I'll leave it at that.
One question from me though, Brett. What's the appetite for that fight?
It's just two of the ones that of this era, of this nearly era. You've got Joshua Wilder. I mean, look, we won't go into it today. It's another conversation, but Fury could still pull this off in an ugly points win against Usyk, and then where does he go? Where's the money fight? There won't be an appetite if Fury does that. There's not going to be an appetite. I think it was earlier somebody said if Fury gets absolutely knocked out the way that AJ does, then maybe there's a big money fight there. The two lads that have been sprawled out, put together, will finally see it. But I think the appetite will be two hitters. Turkey can sell it, Eddie can sell it, and maybe it's on one of these 5v5 cards, and that's the top of the bill. But as far as I'm concerned, AJ's been a great servant, but that's him. That's him out now.
Okay.
I think the thing is as well with Fury Usyk, the last fight was close. It wasn't, a runaway, and Fury, to be fair, performed like a bit of a prat in some of that fight.
He's got his head down this time, Dad, hasn't he? You've not seen those social media
I mean, my thing is that if Fury beats Usyk this time, then they'll do it again. I mean, Dubois, people are saying Parker. I think that's a decent fight.
Is it Zhang?
Yeah, with Zhang. I do think Moses Hitoma might not call him out as much now, to be fair, even though he were doing before this. So I think Big Moses might be a bit quieter where Dubois is concerned.
He'll play the long game,
mate. Why not?
Yeah,
let them all get old and disappear, and some of them disappear. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, listen, Dubois is a big hefty lump, and he did really well. He boxed the right fight. AJ, mate, honestly, I really don't know. It was just seems very mentally. He was gun shy from start.
Yeah. What was that? Was it?
No, he was gun shy, mate. He, like Brett said earlier as well. He were pulling back from that right hand even while he were throwing it. He's a big, strong unit, mate. He's bigger than Dubois. I'm not saying he was stronger than Dubois physically, but he could have got Dubois' respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He didn't. He was just backing off all the time. But you're backing off all the time. At least have your hands up. At least move your head.
Yeah.
He just didn't commit to any punches until he committed in the fifth, and he wobbled Dubois, and then he just went in. And he had the warning. He had the warning from it because Dubois threw one and it clipped him. Then he threw a shorter, same shot, and it just poleaxed him, mate. And I think I've got to say as well, I think the referee were absolutely diabolical. He were absolutely shocking. He was on at Dubois from the beginning for absolute nonsense things. He was in there giving AJ everything. You know what I mean? He was.
Daz, what round was it where his gloves touched the ground and he didn't give the knockdown? And then
when he waved, I think it was after the third. Was it the third?
Yeah, I think so.
Because then AJ was expecting the ref to call a knockdown, and he was there like that. And then Dubois came in with another one. And if you look back at that shot, that really hurt him. That shot after the gloves touching the ground.
Dubois hit AJ a few times with that little short right hand up middle, up to body. That jab AJ was stood in range of him with his hands by his sides, and he landed a thunderous jab.
That jab's no surprise, though, Daz, because everybody talks about his jab.
Mate, he's always had a fantastic jab, even from when he turned pro, he's had a great jab.
Yeah.
But he's obviously maturing now. He's learning. He turned pro as a very young lad.
Yeah.
He's only 27. And he's come back from getting absolutely, rollicked by British public for the Joyce thing. And listen, I'm one of them, and I've said it since it happened, and I said it when it happened. I thought there was nothing wrong with that shot.
No, I didn't either. I didn't think it was low.
I thought that was legitimate because that, though, is on the referee, because the referee should, in a fight like that, be saying, even at the instructions, before they go back to the corners to come out for the fight, he should be saying, this is what I'm going to call low. anything below here. But there were none of that. So, you know, U6 shorts were just at the belly button. So, you know, it's like a bit hard done to with that, to be fair. But, you know, it is what it is. But I would say the ref was very, I mean, why he counted to 10, I'll never know.
No.
I mean, listen, I'm one of them, me. I truly believe anytime a fighter goes down on the face, it's done. Because they're obviously, you know, if a fighter goes down like that and they put their arms out, they're obviously conscious that they're falling.
Ben sprinted in the ring as well, didn't he? Because he knew he was. The cornerman just wants to get at his man when he knows he's out.
They're very conscious that you fall on your face. If you're conscious while you're going down, you put your hands out, don't you?
Yeah.
When you go flat on your, and then to see him like rolling about, like and I'll tell you what as well, and I'll say it on here, and I hope some of them are watching. Some of the people that are taking the mick out of Anthony Joshua, right? You know, getting knocked out, like and being, you know, put to sleep like that and rolling about. Listen, some of them, right? They ought to know better. And then some of them, they ought to take a look at their own fights as well before they start criticising someone who's done what he's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I've seen some people criticising him who shit more shots than a drunkard at bar on a Saturday night in local club. Do you know what I mean? It's disgusting. You know, give the man his respect. You know, and give the man his respect and give Dubois his praise.
Yeah.
That's what they deserve.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers, Daz. Orkan, coming to you next. Give us your thoughts.
AJ's last few wins, this performance showed that the opposition wasn't on the highest levels when Helenius, Wallin, and Ngannou. I was shocked by AJ's performance, to be honest. And Dubois did very well, and AJ came back in the fifth, but then was hit by the counter, and then was a good night. And so praise to Dubois for his performance. Absolutely amazing performance for me. And going forward, I think that IBF has called this as mandatory defense. So he may have a voluntary defense. So he could choose winner Fury, Usyk, or a rematch with AJ next.
Okay. Mr. Ashton, to see the show out, last but not least, give us your thoughts.
Well, people say that Anthony Joshua, it was not like him. He hasn't been like that the last two performances. The reason why is because he had nobody put it on him. He had everything his own way in the last two performances. And I'm not like sort of criticising Ben Davison, but we haven't seen any tests yet under Ben Davison. We had like everyone was praising Ben Davison, saying, you know, brilliant trainer, he's changed Anthony Joshua, he's done brilliant with him. And he had. But like I say, he'd had everything his own way. He hadn't had no real test. He had a guy in Daniel Dubois who come out, absolutely put it on him from the opening bell. Me included, was like, is Dubois going to be nervous? And, you know, we was talking whoever lands first. And we all did say, if Dubois can land, you know, AJ could be in trouble. But AJ went out, his chin was in the air. He was open. His defence was poor. Dubois has learned from his mistakes. The Hrgovic fight, Dubois' defence was leaky. This time it was far better. He learned. Anthony Joshua, I don't want to put him down, but I think I've got to say I think his chin's suspect. He's got a lot of heart. His heart you cannot question, but the powers of recovery with him aren't with him like they are the Tyson Furies. Anthony Joshua gets tagged. His legs go. It takes him 4 rounds to recover. Tyson Fury can get hurt. He'll come back out. He'll win the next round. Not as such Usyk the same. But Anthony Joshua hasn't got the powers of recovery that's needed at that very, very world championship level. And when Daniel Dubois come out and put it on him, he was like a rabbit in the headlights. He did not know how to respond to it. And albeit, yeah, the first knockdown stunned him, and he, like I say, he didn't recover, and that obviously changed the fight. But I just don't know where he goes. I just don't know where he goes from here. And I said, I think I said to you guys on this show on Thursday, we haven't seen the test with Ben Davison. Will he pass them? Well, he didn't pass them last night. He was taken apart, and it was, in all honesty, it was a one-sided beatdown. I agree with Daz. People shouldn't do the criticising. You know, Anthony Joshua is a world-class operator. He's been superb for the British boxing game. He reignited it, to be honest, all the stadium fights and that. But there's a new kid in town in Daniel Dubois. I mean, another thing I'll say about Dubois as well, you look at the difference between him and Anthony Joshua. Joshua got hurt. He was lost what to do. His legs were like jelly. Daniel Dubois got hurt. Joshua come at him. How composed was Dubois when Joshua come at him? He was calm. He was composed. He kept his defence better. He kept it tight. And he hit Joshua with that shot. But that was the difference. He knew how to react when he was hurt. Joshua didn't know how to react. And his powers of recovery as well, they're just not good enough. It was the same a little bit. It was worse, but it was the same a little bit with the Andy Ruiz fight. He had no powers of recovery. He was lost for 4 or 5 rounds when he got stunned. 4 rounds, whatever it was. What we see next, I personally think Brett could be right. I think they might go for a big name like Deontay Wilder, but I agree with Spencer Oliver on TalkSport. I hope they don't start saying now about it's a rebuilding process again. All that BS has gone. He's at the level now. There don't need to be a rebuilding process. In all honesty, he needs to go back into the Lions Den. Maybe Dubois again, but he needs to go into the Lions Den with somebody. And, you know, he can't be having easily knockovers again. That's not the way Anthony Joshua needs now. He's had 4 defeats, and you can tell, like Daz said, he's vulnerable. He's definitely vulnerable. So, like Dubois, the Joyce defeat, the Usyk defeat, he's gone in with tough fights, and he's overcome them vulnerabilities he had. Well, it looks like he has anyway, but full credit to Don Charles, what he's done with Dubois. Massive, massive credit to Don Charles. And the mental side of the game with him as well. He's a challenge man.
Kieran Farrell deserves a shot as well, mate. I think he's part of that.
The whole team, mate, yeah. The whole
and his dad, and Daniel's dad, but yeah.
His dad, yeah, as well.
Don and Kieran Farrell, mate, I think, yeah.
And the mental side of the game with him as well.
Some media outlets are trying to vilify his old man a little bit, aren't they? You know, by saying, you know, when Don Charles wasn't there, they're saying there's a bit of a rift in the camp. I think it's all a load of rubbish.
I mean, listen, if he produces that when there's a rift, cause more rifts. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
But
sorry, I was just going to say, like, as well, the mental side of the game with Daniel Dubois has totally changed as well. He was not scared of Anthony Joshua. Took the centre ring, backed him up, right tactics. And like I say, when he got hit as well, he didn't go into his shell. He was composed, on wobbly legs, went up to the corner, kept his composure, got his defence up, caught Joshua. Joshua was wide open. In all honesty, Joshua's mistakes last night were very amateurish. And that shocks me. And, you know, because he has been caught before. But I don't know. People say he's done. I don't like to say he's done because he's not, you know, he's still at the top level. He's not done. But you don't want to see Anthony Joshua sort of like I said about Josh Warrington become like a gatekeeper type thing.
He does.
I was going to say there's still winnable fights for him. Still a lot of winnable fights for him, but people are going to learn, like say about his chin now. The way to put it on him, he's you know, chin check him, put it on him. That's the thing with Joshua.
The only thing is, like you said, to me, he's got to jump back on the saddle straight away if he's going to carry on. I mean, if Fury beats Usyk this time, I think to be mentioned in a possible fight with Fury, I think Joshua would have to be someone like Zhang.
Yeah.
And then maybe, but then if Fury fights Usyk again, depending on obviously if he's not cut or anything, but then he might have to be, you know, Parker again or something, and then he, you know, would be saying and look good in doing it as well. But obviously, he loses any of them fights. I mean, listen, Zhang would be the ultimate test, and some people would probably say that's probably a bit too much for him after this. But if he's where he wants to be, he needs to be doing that. He doesn't.
That's why I said Wilder does, because he could knock Wilder out. Wilder's legs have gone as well.
Yeah, mate,
he could wipe Wilder out. And I tell you now, if he did knock Wilder out inside 4 or 5 rounds, we'll still remember the Dubois night, the ones that know the game. But the general public are going to forget, and they're just going to think he's knocked Wilder out. Let him have the winner of this or winner of that. And for me, that's the sensible thing to do is don't go in there with Zhang. You don't go in there with Parker. Go in there with Wilder because he's potentially shot as well. Get that one put to bed, and then maybe he's got more one big 100, as Tyson Fury was talking about, $150 million payday.
Right, I'm just going to pick some comments up in the side and just rattle through some of these comments, guys. Okay, so Rod says that AJ should never box again. He goes on to say AJ's demeanour and body language in the ring was a disgrace. Rod also talks about Shiraz and Tyler was a mismatch. Then we got Dylan, who says AJ has been done since Usyk. Dylan goes on to say AJ just looked so confused there, was bamboozled by Usyk and tried to box the best boxer of this generation. Then he comes out to Dubois with his hands down, chin in the air, thinking he's going to get, moving on, a one-punch KO like Ngannou. Anytime someone puts it on AJ, he looks lost, doesn't know how to handle a crisis, and always looking to his corner for advice. He's been boxing for 15 years and should know by now. Do you guys read comments? There you go. Dylan, prove that I do read them. Dylan goes on to say, I don't think Joshua wants anything to do with Zhang. I wouldn't. I see it going same as Dubois. I think Joyce fight or maybe White. Not sure there's many fights for him.
Maybe Joyce.
I agree. I agree in principle with Dylan, but if Anthony wants to, and I agree with Brett as well, if Anthony wants to have one last big payday against a bit of a name who people still like to watch, then yeah, Wilder's the one. But I think if he wants to be taken serious as an opponent for Fury, if Fury wins or even Usyk again or whatever, I think he needs to be in with a better caliber.
See, this is a personal choice, Daz. I would much rather see him in with Dillian White because I know the background and how much they detest each other rather than jumping in with Wilder. That's just me being honest, Brett.
It's not as big money though, is it, Cot? Like, because he's on his way out now. I mean, he keeps telling us this legacy and he just wants to fight. But the bottom line is, Turkey's not going to pay massive money for the Dillian White fight, but he would pay massive money for the Wilder fight.
You think?
Don't get me wrong. We'll all. I'd love to see White fight.
I wouldn't say that he'd pay for Dillian White, mate. I mean, Dillian White, I know what would happen if that were announced. You see, you've got to think as well. If AJ goes in with Dillian White, or listen, probably even Wilder to a certain extent, he's going to get some stick for the choice of opponents. If Anthony's saying, I want to get back in there and be world champion, I want to be, I want to fight Fury and winner of Fury, whatever. He's got to. I mean, I did take into account his wins over Wallin and Ngannou, and I thought, yeah, it's not great preparation, but he seemed like he were in that frame of mind again that he was in, when he first turned over, sort of thing. So I thought, yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. I don't think AJ's been ruined since Usyk. I think he's been ruined since Ruiz, if I'm honest. I think Ruiz sort of put a dent in him, and it's never been addressed. I don't think.
Let me just pick this comment out, Dad. So Dylan says, "I'm not sure Wilder's a big draw anymore after how poor he looked. All depends if Fury Usyk. If Fury loses, then it's Fury AJ. I think if Fury wins, then nowhere to go for AJ."
No, there will be.
I wouldn't say there's nowhere to go for AJ.
What about Zhili Zhang in China? He's going to do a Riyadh card in China, isn't it?
Even Bacoli in Africa. Well, that could be a big card, I think. Well, when you think of all the African American fighters, even British Africans.
Yeah,
I think that could be a option.
He's going to shock us all. He's going to take the rematch, lads.
I think he will, Brett.
He's going to shock us all. We're all saying the right thing to do, but he's going to shock us all. When we're going to see the rematch? February? He's going to take a rematch.
I think he will as well, Brett. Yeah.
He can't come out the same as that, though. He's got to come out a lot more assertive. You can't allow him to come at him again. Definitely.
Well, he can't afford. I think it's a cup final for AJ. He comes out and just puts it on Dubois for me because it's last chance saloon if he wants to stay at that level.
Thing is, though, he probably should have done that to a certain extent last night.
Yeah.
He should have been aggressive. The aggressive boxer puncher behind. I mean, listen, AJ's jab was a weapon at one point. Last night, there was nothing. There was nothing to fear.
Dubois' jab last night was class.
Yeah, but AJ's jab and even AJ's right hand was nothing to fear last night at all. The only one he committed to was the one that he wobbled Dubois with, and then went chasing after him and got chinned.
My fear though is with that though, we're all saying he's going to need to do this, he's going to need to do that. The rematch will probably end up when Joyce fought Zhang for the second time. It's gonna end up where they're just
pretty much same.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty much the same, and he's gonna end up on one, and it could go the same way. It really could.
I think he's got AJ's number, hasn't he?
Do you know what I was going to say when Darren was talking? Because Darren was right about how Dubois approached the fight. Do you think, Daz, you could maybe back this up? I know if you've been in there and you've sparred and you've had the better hand of somebody, and in sparring is sparring, but if all accounts he hurt him. And he got the better of him in sparring. A young, hungry 27-year-old that fancies himself does that play its part in it when he runs out when it goes ding ding and he runs after him and goes, I know I can hurt you. I've hurt you in sparring.
I said that last night.
It could do, and it probably would do. I mean, by all accounts, Anthony Fowler said that Dubois hit him. And it was just one round that he wobbled him in, but he badly wobbled him. But the other rounds were mostly like AJ, I think, being probably on top, but not on top a lot. But and then Dubois caught him, but I'd take that into account as AJ's trainer as well. I would. This is just me, and I'm not saying it's right way, and I'm not saying it's wrong way. You guys decide. But I would have actually said to Anthony, I would have sat him down away from everybody, even everyone else in gym. I would have sat him down and I would have said, "Tell me what happened in that spar, and you need to be honest." And if I didn't think you were being honest, I would have found out who were there, and I would have asked them, and then you build from that.
You know what you're dealing with.
And if Anthony had told me the truth that he hit me with a right hand, hit me with a shot, and legs went, I didn't know where I were, it'd have been a case of right. Obviously, this is what Daniel's, or if he'd have said that, he caught me with a couple of jabs and then set right hand up, then obviously that's what you pin it on. Then you sort of say, right, let's not let that happen then.
Yeah.
But. I mean, the right hand he dropped him with in the first. My first comment, I watched it, and my first comment were, "It's a good job Daniel didn't take that extra half a step and step in properly with that right hand."
Yeah,
because he wouldn't have got up; he'd have been asleep. Because he was a bit wide with it, and when you look at it, how did AJ not see that coming? You know what I mean? It wasn't a straight shot; it was a swing, and if he'd have stepped in a bit more with it, AJ would have been flat out from that. But but then on AJ's point, it's how do you not see that coming? Do you know what I mean? And that's a worrying thing. But I think the sparring, you've got to take into account the sparring. You've got to. You know what I mean? You can't not. And AJ could have then said, look, whatever story he told on the sparring, if it were, look, he caught me, I switched off, he caught me, then you think, right, well, don't switch off then. Yeah. Then you just work on stuff.
Yeah.
A big thing that I think as well is if Daniel's talking about that sparring and a lot of people are talking about that sparring, you got to put him in his place straight away. You know what I mean? If he's coming in 27-year-old off career best wins, flying high, just been promoted to world champion, stuff like that, you've got to put him in his place. You've got to say, you know what I mean?
He tried that in that face-off, though, didn't he, Daz? If you look back, that was all tactics to try and get him to shit himself.
Yeah,
And he just was
exactly. Yeah. You see, me, I will be saying, and like I say, again, I'm not saying it's right way, I'm not saying it's wrong way, but as a trainer, I will be saying, listen, putting him in his place, sat around a table when you're not going to fight is a pointless exercise.
Yeah, completely.
Put him in his place when that bell goes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Let him feel something. And he didn't do that.
No.
I'm always a big believer in, as soon as that bell goes, the first thing you do, you've got to imprint yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And even more so, he had to do that, but he didn't. So.
Okay, I'm going to bring the show to the end at that stage. Okay, so Mr. Medcalf, thank you very much. Ashton, thank you very much. Orkan, thank you. Brett, thank you. And Sean, thank you for all the comments.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. This has been Last World Boxing, sponsored by LW Liftings and LC Travel. Back Thursday night for the preview of next weekend's fight cards. Post your comments below and we'll respond. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody.